amphitheater project dispute. Black contractors speak out against funding disparities, alleging unequal treatment. We have the latest on the controversy. And coming up, exclusive interviews from Wednesday's hearing. Black Contractors President Jared Sims and lead attorney Richard Rice and Jonathan Austin share their thoughts and analysis.
Sure, those numbers were actually provided by the BJCC. Project came in, as you see, at about $46 million. On this side, what it shows is the non-DBE, MBE participation, which would be stone building. He comes in at about 83%, which is about $38 million or so dollars. On this side, this is his list of participation as it relates to Exhibit 5. Okay.
What's Exhibit 5? I'm sorry.
Exhibit 5 is the special instructions that were given to all bidders to ensure that inclusion of the target for 30% was met. What it boils down to is, had they done that based on their plan, we should have had the 30% that was established.
Instead, what do you have?
Instead, basically we have about 16% as to the actual total dollar value. So I'm not sure about any of the things that he's speaking to, but the 30% or any percentage is based on the contract dollar or the bid amount. And the bid amount is $46,074,948. MBE, DBE, WBE is $7,709,545. Those are the actual numbers that they submitted as to the participation. And if you take that number and find the percentage that represents, it's 16.73%.
What was the percentage of black contractors?
And that's the other thing that's really kind of concerning. Of the 7,709,545, only 0.95 are actually black contractors, meaning that number equates to about $435,199 of the $46 million spent on this project. That's less than 1%.
But what does the resolution call for? Is it a 30% participation on minorities, which would include Hispanics and?
It would include everybody. The problem that we're dealing with, I'm the president of the Black Contractors Association, so my members are concerned with what we represent in this equation. And in this equation, we represent less than 1%. And it's just time that, folks that help fund these projects, they're a part of it. That's what true inclusion is about. Our efforts are to build, real communities. And when you have real development that's about, true inclusion, that's what happens. You get what you need with, thriving communities. Right now, we don't have that. And so what we see is we just have folks that don't have the willingness to make this happen. And we're looking forward to working with folks that, want to champion this once and for all. We've been doing this for 30 years, and it's just time out for that. We don't need to be an afterthought of this process. We need to be in the forefront of it. And so that's how we get here. These numbers are the issue. All this other stuff about, I'm not really sure what they're talking about relative to dismissing the issue or the complaint. We're dealing with just the numbers. These are their numbers, okay? These are specifically their numbers that shows the participation as it relates to the project, period.
Mr. Sims, do you know how many black contractors put in a bid for the project?
There are a number of them that actually submitted bids. Sure, we could provide that, but the point is only 3 on this project. That's not good. Not for a city with a 70% majority that helped fund this thing. I mean, that just doesn't make any logical sense. This is just bad all the way around. And anybody that wants to celebrate this, I don't know. It just doesn't ring true.
What's the bottom line for you in all of this at the end of the day?
In the day, we're very disappointed, obviously, with today. We thought we'd get the ruling that we wanted, but we're still in this to do what needs to be done. We're going to make sure that this happens. We're excited about our position.
So the purpose of the lawsuit really was to make a legal determination as to whether or not the BJCC had complied with the terms of the funding agreement that it entered with the city of Birmingham. And the city of Birmingham provided, $5 million and also secured bonds on behalf of this particular project. And in return for that, the BJCC had certain milestones that they were intended to reach. There was a 30% participation goal for historically underutilized businesses. The city council passed a resolution to that effect. The specific terms of that resolution were included in a contractual agreement that is not contingent upon any type of public bid law. That's two separate things. Contractual obligations are separate than the statute that was cited by the BJCC and their attorneys today. And so in order to meet that 30% participation goal, there were certain steps that needed to be taken in order to demonstrate that you're making a good faith effort to have minority participation in this particular project. And those specific requirements are laid out in the complaint, but they included publishing the bid with a sufficient amount of notice, but also having regular meetings with the Birmingham Construction Industry Authority to make sure that if there are problems with reaching that 30% goal, that you were having ongoing communication as the process was unfolding. And so what we've heard publicly at the groundbreaking ceremony that I think I heard our mayor say, the mayor of a city with 74% African Americans who use their tax dollars to fund this, he said that we exceeded all goals for black contractors. Whereas we received this document today that specifically says that black contractors receive less than 1% of the total contract value. So that is not consistent with the goal of the plaintiffs. I don't think it's consistent with the goals of the citizens. And it's not in the best interest of anyone, whether you're black, white, it doesn't matter. It's not in anyone's best interest, just given the demographics of this city. And so what we're saying is, one, is follow the terms of the contract in terms of having the meetings and making the notice public in terms of when the bid is going to be published. And secondly, have follow-up meetings along the way so that if you are having a legitimate concern about meeting the 30% goal, you can work those out in a timely fashion. And that hasn't occurred. And so that's the basis of the lawsuit is to have a declaration from the court to say that there wasn't compliance with the contract. And the contract, the funding agreement, has a specific clawback provision that says, if you do not follow these terms of the agreement, the city can take back the money and the agreement in terms of providing the credit for the bond as well. So the complaint that's drafted was only seeking a declaration and an injunction.
We have such a high crime rate in our city. Our school system are underfunded, and we have so much disparity that exists between different neighborhoods within the city of Birmingham. The money that every tax dollar that is spent by the city of Birmingham and by any public entity should go back to benefit those communities where that money is being spent. And when the money is not being spent or not staying in those communities, then you're still going to see the same issues that we have. And so when you have these types of projects that are transformative for the city, they also need to be transformative for the businesses here, and in particular those historically underutilized businesses, because as those businesses continue to grow and they're able to increase their bonding capacity, then that should trickle down to all the communities, the schools, and help get more people jobs. And I think that that's what it's all about. I mean, when you're spending public money, it should benefit the public.
Thanks for tuning in to BCN, Black Contractor News. Please like and share this important update with your network. Special thanks to our team, Executive Producer William Day, Producer DeCarlo Sims, Director Kalpa Nuan, and Editors Pixel Cube.